Hi everyone, I wanted to get on here and I wanted to go through something that I do with my cards. Oops, okay. So I was just about to say, because I get asked a lot about how do I know which cards to pull for my clients or even myself. So I often will sit and shuffle the cards, sometimes while I'm talking to a client and getting them to talk about their situation, their question, whatever it might be. I also will do it if it's an email one. I will think on that person, that soul, and I will think on the question that they've brought or the situation. A lot of times people tend to bring situations more like I want to look at my love life, I want to look at my financial stuff. I want to look at my career movements, my health. I always have to say, though, I'm not a doctor, so, you know, maybe you should see your doctor if you're asking about health. But I will shuffle while I'm doing this. And as you can see, two cards have already popped out for whatever reading I'm doing today. I'm just doing a general reading just to see what pops up through tarot. And I'll shuffle my cards and I'll wait for a card to jump. You may have heard that term before, that some cards will jump. So I almost use that almost exclusively. I only riffle the cards when I'm first waking them up, as I say. I don't always knock my deck. A lot of people will knock their deck. I don't. I tend to riffle them awake. There's another one that just jumped. So the other thing I have to be discerning about what is jumping and what is just me being clumsy with the cards. But my hands are pretty stretched out, much like basketball players' hands get stretched out and they can hold the ball. I mean, they're also big people. So, but over the years, I see that was just clumsiness because that's a mittful right there, right? So I'm just going to pull three, but I still like to shuffle the cards. There's something very meditational in that, if that's a word. Anyways, like I said, I'll just shuffle, and my hand is used to the width of these cards. This is what I call my working deck. So she's pretty much always with me. I do have a few clients where they have, like, I have purchased a special deck that is just for them. It's usually the same deck, it's still the gilded deck, but the difference being that that deck, whichever one it is, like this gilded deck, is only for that client. So has only ever done readings for that client. Now, that's a higher level of reading, obviously. And it's more like if you're going to get a few times in a year, at least kind of readings, then maybe you want to look at adding the, this deck is only used by me for you kind of thing. So that's something else to consider as well. But I look for those jumping cards, and that's where the discernment comes in. Is it just me being clumsy, or is it jumping? And I can usually tell which way it's going. That's also a good way to use your intuitive energies or skills kind of thing to know when it's jumping. Now, I'm a master tarot reader, so I have really worked and practiced on honing my intuitive skills, my empathy skills, all the psychic skills, all the different clarifications and that sort of realm of skills. I've incorporated them into the foundation that I have for knowing what tarot is. There's part that is memorization, just straight up memorization and repetition of learning, very much like learning scales and piano, learning, addition, subtraction, multiplication, division in math. It's just a repetition. The more you do it, the better you get at it, the faster you know all of the things that go with that card. And I layer over top all of my, different skills like intuition, empathy, psychic, all that kind of stuff. I layer on top of the foundation. So the first card we have is the Eight of Cups. Now, this always looks like someone's had a really good party because some of the cups are still standing, but many are tipped over. So, golden cups here, sort of representing the red silo cups at a party. And this guy's in his traveling clothing, and he's got his walking stick, and he's ready to move forward. And there's a full moon right there. So, sort of wishes coming true. Now, this is also the possibilities opening up because it is a number 8, and 8 is about that infinite possibilities being presented to you. So you've done the work, you've done the celebration of the work coming to fruition, and now comes the reward. And this is also nicknamed the Traveler's Cup. So maybe a trip is your reward, or maybe a trip is needed to level you up into that next level of success and getting closer to your goal. So keep that in mind. Now we also have the Four of Swords. And speaking of leveling up, I haven't looked at the cards ahead of time. So leveling up, you can't level up in life until you see a 4 come into it. And we just got our 4 right as our second card there. So we've got the Four of Swords. So this is mastering your communication, your message, your tone perhaps. Because sometimes we don't always realize we're saying something in what sounds like a mean tone, or, like someone's feelings are getting hurt, but we don't realize we're hurting someone else's feelings. So it's bringing that self-awareness of, oh, maybe I said this to one person, but there was a group of people and some of them got hurt because I put all my focus on this one person, or perhaps I said something and it was misconstrued, especially in our age of texting. A lot gets lost in translation when you're texting because you can't, portray the tone necessarily. Like for instance, when I'm being sarcastic and my brothers and sisters and I have a thread that we keep communicating with each other, and I'll often say in the font of sarcasm so that they know I'm just saying this sarcastically. I'm not being serious, that sort of thing. Or in the font of joking, that sort of thing. So, be aware of how you're communicating, what you're saying, sort of a kill them with kindness if your message has a way of being misconstrued. Sometimes I've said things to people and, someone around me will say something like, that sounded kind of bitchy. And I would be like, oh, I didn't mean it that way. So this is learning how to control your communication, opening yourself up to communication. There's a next level that's reached when you bring that self-awareness to what you're saying, what you're doing. Actions sometimes speak louder than words. Or if you are, in your career or business or whatever, what message are you putting out there? How do people see you? So be aware of that. And if you want to change it, then do that. This is the prime opportunity to make those adjustments or changes. And we're always having to do that. It's like when you're driving down the road, you don't just hold on to the wheel and go. You're constantly making small changes so the car will stay straight or the car will turn right or left, depending on which way you need to go. So that's what this card is about. This card is saying opportunities are opening up. So be aware and be on the lookout. And this one is saying, be aware of yourself and what you're saying, and make sure that your message, your image, whatever it might be, is on point, and make the small adjustments as needed. Oh, and then we end with a 9 of Cups. So remember this guy, I said we were celebrating. It looks like he's done and he's ready to move onwards. Well, we have another celebration coming up, but it's after these two cards happen. So this is the 9 of Cups. As you can see there's a sort of a baker looking guy, and maybe he's a brewmaster or something, because he's obviously got some kegs down here, some golden cups. Again, they're all up right now, and it's a 9, and 9 is the ending of a cycle. So and it's a celebration type thing. Now 9s are just an ending, nice and quiet. 10s bring the gifts, But nines have that celebration element to them, regardless of whether there's a gift or not. And it doesn't mean there isn't a gift. There's obviously some closure, some movement forward, and perhaps there might be a little lesson involved. And it's always good to get a lesson. And it's always good to know you've mastered that lesson. Because often we come here to learn how to interact with each other, how to interact with the divine, how to interact with yourself. I'm often reminding clients the only relationship that is forever is, there's two actually, between you and yourself and between you and divine, whatever you define that is, as what divine is for you. So this is saying that there's a little lesson, and it's the little lessons that get us the bigger gifts, right? And the lessons really are gifts. So your multiplication tables or whatever it is you're striving to, kind of learn is going to happen. And it's going to be very shortly. And with that comes closure, as well as movement upwards, and perhaps even a little gift. So that's my reading, how I do it. Take from here what resonates with you. I hope something does, and I hope the very best for you, that you're able to move forward in your life. Joy for you today. All right, take care. Bye.